Dear compatriots, ladies and gentlemen, I take the floor in my capacity as the President-elect of Cameroon. I want to launch a wake-up call to the world in general, in particular the nation which have based their very existence on democracy and human rights protection. I want to bring to their knowledge that for the first time in the history of our nation, all Cameroonians have their back today against the war, confronted with a life-threatening menace coming from this unlawful, dictatorial, state-based terrorism, state-based gangsterism against the people. They have been arresting out of any lawful legal procedure. They have jailed hundreds and thousands of Cameroonians, deprived of their right, not because they did something, because this dictatorial regime have decided to operate ethnic cleansing, political cleansing, regional cleansing. This situation is unbearable, unacceptable. I say it in my capacity as the President-elect of this nation. I also want to bring to your knowledge the fact that all Cameroon knows it. The world in general knows it, that President Biya has never been elected by Cameroonian people. But during the swearing-in procedure, President Biya put his hand on the Bible to ask God to be the witness of his election. This is sacrilege. This is profanation. I just want to call your attention to the fact that he uses God just to fulfill his ugly purpose. This is unbearable. This is unacceptable. In my capacity, I urge this regime to give up fighting our people, to give up killing our daughters and sons. Cameroonians will never accept it. I launch an ultimatum. I give you, in my capacity, I give you 48 hours to liberate all of those who, out of law, unlawfully, you have arrested and jailed. Failing to doing it, Cameroonians will find themselves in a legitimate defense and free to undertake whatever will enable them to recover their freedom and to free their daughters and sons who are illegally imprisoned, jailed somewhere. This is the message I want to share. Cameroonians pass if 48 hours, as I said, they refuse to comply. Cameroonians, they are in legitimate position to defend themselves, to defend their family, and to go retrieve their daughters and sons who are unlawfully and illegally have been arrested and jailed. Keep this in mind, and for as long as this problem has not been solved, you have to remain tall and strong and ready to fight for your freedom, for your right. May the Lord bless our nation. Thank you.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to our show, Speak of Africa. We have so much news, so many updates. We know you are glued to your TVs, your laptops, watching the updates on Cameroon elections. Well, we have a lot of updates, a lot of news you want to know. But the main story for this week is Cameroon confusion. Shocking tale of one country, two presidents. So that's what we're going to tell you. Cameroon is dealing with a very unique situation in Africa. You have one country, but that country has two presidents. So how did this happen? So let's delve into the story. That's what we're going to tell you now. The president of Cameroon for more than 43 years has been Paul Biya. Paul Biya is a gangster. He leads the gang called CPDM. Some people may think it is a political party, but CPDM is actually a gang. It's a gang, and it's led by Paul Biya, who is like the Al Capone of the gang. So the way Paul Biya behaves, he behaves like a gangster. Do you know that over 50 people have been killed since the election in October in Cameroon, 2025? Biya doesn't care. So this week, Biya has been sworn in as president. Similarly, Isaach Chiruma has also been sworn in as president. So in effect, Cameroon has two presidents. So now there is the race, the conflict for legitimacy. Who is the legitimate president of Cameroon? That's the question a lot of people want to know. Is the legitimate president Paul Biya, or is the legitimate president Isaach Chiruma Bakari? Well, it depends on who you ask this question. Those who have been monitoring elections on the ground, they say Biya campaigned only in Marwa, just once. Biya is very weak, very sick. Most of the time, Paul Biya does not even know where he is. They have to help him. They have to tell him what to say. This is a guy presiding over the destiny of Cameroon. So it looks like Biya is finished. But he created a system, a machine, which is keeping him in power. He has the army and the police. They have been killing a lot of people just because they want to keep Biya in power. Isn't this sad? An aged guy who is over 92 years old, they are propping him up. The wife wants him to stay in power. Ferdinand Gongo, who has been longing to be president of Cameroon without any election, wants to be president. So the battle lines are drawn between Paul Biya's gang and the followers of Isaach Chiruma Bakari. So it's like a talk of war. Who is going to win this talk of war? It remains to be seen. On the side of Isaach Chiruma Bakari, people are asking, why is Isaach Chiruma Bakari? After the ghost towns were declared and most of the cities in Cameroon were shut down, Isaach Chiruma just disappeared from the radar. People have been looking for him, they cannot find him. But we've been making an effort to find out where Isaach Chiruma is. And from what we understand, he himself came out last time and said, loyalist soldiers have taken him to a secure location because he was running away from attacks from Biya's goons. Of course, his safety is paramount and important. He has been kept in a secure location. Where is this secure location? He did not tell. Of course, we know that for security reasons, he doesn't want people to know. But we know, since Isaach Chiruma emerged as the winner of the October 12 elections in Cameroon, his security has been at stake. Biya has sent people to come and kidnap him in his house, and they have actually killed many people in Isaach Chiruma's house in Garoua. We know that. General Pelene was sent to come and arrest Isaach Chiruma. General Pelene refused those instructions. Then another colonel was sent and his helicopter crashed. So all the people who tried to come and pick Isaach Chiruma up, they failed. So the army seems to be divided. The leaders in the army understand that their soldiers are divided. So they are trying to be very careful. But we know, frankly, Biya lost this election the way Biya has always lost elections in Cameroon. We know Biya lost the election because Biya campaigned only in Marwa. And when you look at the performance of Paul Biya in Marwa, it was lackluster. He was just mumbling, just the same way Kabaye Jibril mumbles all the time. In fact, on that day in Marwa, Biya pulled Cavaye Jibril away from the microphone because he was just drowning in his speech. He could not really speak because the guy is too old. But that's the same guy who came and presided over the swearing in of Paul Biya. Yeah, you could see the pictures. Paul Biya has been sworn in as for an 8th term as the president of the Republic of Cameroon. But you know what is really happening. Paul Biya did not really win these elections, but because he presides over a system called Franc-Afrique. We've been talking about Franc-Afrique on our show every week. Franc-Afrique is a system created by Charles de Gaulle. So it keeps puppet presidents in power in Francophone Africa. So long as you are interested in preserving French interests in your country, France will keep you in power. But when you threaten French interests, France will take you out. That's as simple as it is. In fact, Fanny Peugeot has written a lot of books on Paul Biya. And this week, she also made some comments because the international community this time has decided to turn its face against Biya. You have lackluster endorsement. We know China came out and congratulated Paul Biya. Interestingly, the United States also came out and congratulated Paul Biya. What a shame. Then, of course, the African Union, which should be the bulwark of democracy, was silent, did not say anything. The United Nations was silent. The EU was silent. So all these international organizations that should fight for democracy were just touching Biya with kid gloves, holding him with kid gloves. They don't want to do anything to rock the boat. So probably America is also thinking, well, let's just play it safe and go with Biya because we want the stability of affairs in that region. We told you already that Savannah Energy, a major multinational corporation that handles oil in the Doba fields in Chad, then this oil is piped to the Ngaoundéré, first Marwa, Garwa, Ngaoundéré, then to Kribi. So America does not want to lose this market. So that's why you see a lot of this interest. They still think, even though Biya has lost, they should still go with the flow. This is not fair. The people want that for the first time, their voices should be heard. Their votes should count. They are tired of Biya rigging elections because since Biya came to power, Biya did not win any election when he came to power. The French handpicked him and presented him to Ahidjo. Ahidjo groomed him. Then he succeeded Ahidjo. But he was a French puppet. He went to these French schools, which are training grounds for puppets who will come and serve the interests of France. And Biya said, I'm le meilleur élève de Mitterrand. So he is a slave of the French. He will do the French bidding against his people. Even ERF, the oil company that was really exploiting the oil in Cameroon, ERF used to keep a portion of the oil money in offshore accounts for Paul Biya in Switzerland. We got this information. So they are paying Biya for being a good servant of the French. So Biya makes a lot of money. Oil money, and that's why you see people are dying in Ambazonia. In Ambazonia, people have been thinking that, okay, now that Chiruma has won the election, we think we like his overtures, the ideas that he's presenting to us. He will be able to free our prisoners who are in Kondengi, like people like Sissoko Ayoktabe and others. But what's going to happen? Well, if Chiruma doesn't take office, how is he going to release them in Yaoundé? So that's the problem. So our people want Chiruma to take office. So right now, the main issue with Chiruma is where is he? We know that Chiruma has been going in and out of Cameroon, okay? First, we knew when he went to Chad, we knew when he went to Niger. So actually, people in Chiruma's transition team do not really want people to really know where he is. For a long time, we were told he went to Nigeria. His lawyer also confirmed the story. In a news report in France that Chiruma left after the ghost town. He left Garoua and entered Nigeria. Those areas have a porous border. You need to look at the map of northern Nigeria, Cameroon, and Chad. It's easy to move from Cameroon to Nigeria to Chad because the borders are very porous. And that's what happens. I know those areas very well because I work in a little village in Marua called Mindif. So I know that northern area very, very well. So we are told that Isaach Chiruma this time sneaked into Yola, Nigeria. That's the state of Adamawa. But you should know that Isaach Chiruma has so many connections in northern Nigeria. So don't compare Isaach Chiruma with Sissoko Ayoktabe. When Sissoko Ayoktabe was in Nigeria, the Muslims gave him away. They gave him away because he was not one of theirs. But this time, you're dealing with a hardcore Muslim. And when the Muslims see the opportunity to put their brother in power, they're not going to resist. They're not going to sell him. People are saying, oh, maybe Isaach Chiruma is not speaking because he has been arrested in Nigeria and he cannot move, he cannot speak. No. Isaach Chiruma's silence is strategic. It's strategic. And we know that he's going to speak in due time. The northerners who are Muslims are not going to give away Isaach Chiruma. Trust me. We know international politics. Isaach Chiruma is a Muslim. And you have to understand the jihad, okay? The jihad, the holy war. Usman Dan Fodio, that was the guy who brought the holy war to the Sokoto Caliphate in Nigeria. All these people believe in jihad. So if there's a conflict between Mission J, when you hear Mission J, it means the people in Fulfulde, Mission J. Those are the people who come from the south. They call them Mission J. They are like Christians and infidels. But Isaach Chiruma is a Muslim. And besides, the name Chiruma has a lot of meaning in Islam. So, because of the Islamic influence, the Nigerians who are Muslim are not going to give away Isaach Chiruma. The vice president of Nigeria, Shettima, we understand he is the guy who runs Boko Haram. So, he is going to be happy to see Isaach Chiruma become president in Cameroon. Bola Tinubu is also a Muslim. Bola Tinubu is going to be happy to see Isaach Chiruma become president of Cameroon. So that way they will have very good neighborly relations. They don't see what they're going to get from an aged Paul Biya who is almost going insane, having dementia. What's Paul Biya going to give them? Not money, because these guys are loaded. Paul Biya does not have the money to bribe somebody like Bola Tinubu, because Bola Tinubu has big money. Big money. Okay? Shettima, all these guys have big money. But above all, their Islamic solidarity is what is going to keep Isaach Chiruma safe in Nigeria. Remember, when Bello Bouba Maigari had problems after the first coup d'etat in La République du Cameroon, where did he run to? He ran to Nigeria, and Nigeria protected him until the Biya government worked a deal with him. That's when he returned to Cameroon. So Nigeria is not going to give up any of these guys. So Isaach Chiruma himself said, I'm very, very safe. I'm in a safe place. So it is from the security of Nigeria that is going to start launching the takeover of La République du Cameroon. That's what we see. So naturally, we're going to have two presidents, one country. La République du Cameroon has two presidents. Paul Biya, then Isaach Chiruma Bakari. So just watch. The next few days, you're going to be hearing pronouncements from Isaach Chiruma Bakari. Okay? Right now, Isaach Chiruma Bakari has undertaken to present a legal strategy. He wants the international community to see that actually he's the one who won the presidential elections in Cameroon. And Paul Biya, who is a serial rigger of elections, also rigged these elections. But unfortunately for Paul Biya, things are tough for him because this time there is proof that he lost the election. When we look at what is happening in Cameroon, it reminds us of what happened in Ivory Coast between Laurent Gbagbo and Alassane Ouattara. Alassane Ouattara was the president. He lost in a transparent election, but he wanted to stay in power. What happened? The French came in and pushed Gbagbo out and installed Alassane Ouattara. Some people are thinking this is what is going to happen in La République du Cameroon, because the French know that Paul Biya is not running the country. Paul Biya has mortgaged the country. He has relegated the function of running the country to Chantal Biya and Haparamu Ferdinand Ngongo. So the average Cameroonian knows what is happening today. We've been informing you for years that Paul Biya is not the one running Cameroon. Paul Biya is not in charge. The person who is in charge is Chantal and Ferdinand Ngongo. Those are the two people running Cameroon. Paul Biya is just a figurehead. So long as he can eat, when you see him sitting in a room, he looks like a little baby, a toy. The lion man that you've been hearing, wow, 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 is no more. That lion man is gone. So they're just playing games. So are the French going to give up on Biya, or they're going to give up on Isaach Chiruma? That's the question. When we look at what is happening in Cameroon, the French have a difficult task. Are they going to choose Chiruma, or are they going to choose Biya? You know, Biya has been diversifying his sources because he was not really confident that the French would protect him. So Biya started looking at the Israeli army. He started looking at China. But France maintains strategic interest in Cameroon. So now, how is the future going to turn things around? Things are pregnant. We just see that there will be a lot of chaos in Cameroon. If Biya insists on staying in power, things are going to get tough because there will be conflict. So we think Cameroon is headed for a major showdown. Cameroon is headed to a showdown. Okay? Because if Biya stays there, the next thing that's going to happen, confrontation. The Biya's forces have been struggling to dislodge Isaach Chiruma from Garoua, which is why Chiruma's people realized that it was not safe for him to stay in his residence. So he has to look for a better place from where he can fight. Okay? Modern wars, you don't need to be there. He's a spiritual head. He'll be fighting from wherever he is. Cameroon may break into pieces because the people may be thinking that, okay, let's watch. If we think Biya can manage to hang in there and survive, we'll support him. But we don't think Biya will be able to survive because we know that Biya is already weak. He's really feeble. Biya cannot do much. Then, of course, you have people like, we've talked about Fanny Peugeot with Mediapart. She wrote a very good book on Paul Biya, O Cameroon de Paul Biya, where he really went into details. Then she spoke also about Franc-Afrique, which is really the cause of the problem Cameroonians are facing today. Why is it that an Anglophone, John Frundi, will win at the election, but the French will say Biya won, and they will declare Biya victorious? So since 1992, Biya has faked every election. He has lost every election, but he always claimed he won because he has the army at his beck and call. Then he also has the security forces, the police that he uses. So you see what is happening? So those are some of the issues that we see in the country. Okay? Does the international community want to deal with an insurgency in Cameroon? I don't think so. But that's what they're going to get if they decide to let Biya continue on the path of doom. That's all we can tell you. Biya is continuing on the path of doom. Chaos is going to reign in Cameroon. So the story is not over. If people have been telling you that the issue in Cameroon, things have calmed down, everything is over, mark my words. I know better. I know how the political situation unfolds in that region. So watch my show and listen to what I'm saying. Things are just beginning. Now it's just like on the échauffement. People are just warming up. The real action is coming. Okay? The real action is coming. So let's watch. Isaach Chiruma is not done. So Isaach Chiruma has already been sworn in. So now he has to start taking on Biya. So far, he's beginning with the legal route. Once he exhausts the legal route, the next thing we know is the showdown between the forces of Paul Biya and the forces of Isaach Chiruma. So the fighting is going to start very, very soon. So it will be up to the international community to choose sides very, very fast. But the way we see things, the voices of reason would say, Ngongo, wait, next time run for election and you become president. Don't use Biya to become president the way you're trying to do with Chantal. Isaach Chiruma is the one who won this election, so let him take his place as the rightful president of the people. The voice of the people will prevail this time, as far as I can see it. Okay, Isaach Chiruma is ready to take his victory to whatever he can take it. So be very, very careful. Biya is an old man. Biya's time is past. Le temps de Biya est passé. Vous comprenez? So let's not keep talking about Biya, because Biya, it's over for Paul Biya. Don't mind what he's doing now with the army, the police, because Biya recruited a lot of his tribesmen into the army as a way to survive. But that alone is not going to keep him in power the way it has done in the past. So we think Biya is done, because the degree of disaffection, the people are tired of Biya. Biya fatigue. They are tired of Biya. So Biya should not be forcing himself on the people. He's just wasting his time forcing himself on the people. I even saw a video of a young girl on TikTok complaining. Cameroonians have no jobs. People go to school with a lot of degrees. Then they are selling pop-off in the market. What kind of country is that? Yet there's corruption everywhere. If you support Paul Biya, you enjoy the wealth of the country. If you are in the opposition, you live in poverty and you die. Okay? So those are the issues that we see now in La République du Cameroon. So if you've been watching this show, know that Isaach Chiruma is going to be your next president. What we see Biya and his people doing, those are the last kicks of a dying horse. Biya is a dying horse. He may have plans to bring his son and make him vice president. Then after that, he will die and the son will take over. That devilish plan is not going to work. Already, the prisons in Cameroon, like Konengi, they are filled with Biya's enemies. Look at Amadou Marafa Yaya, a guy from the north, an engineer. Why is he in prison? Because he dared tell Biya that he has presidential ambitions. And in the Kondengi, you have so many people who are languishing in the prison because they have ambition. Or Biya thought they are rivals. Whenever you are a rival of Paul Biya, he puts you in jail or he kills you. That's why when you look at Kondengi is just like a team filled with players from Biya's government. So most of them are not happy. Biya has jailed them for so many years. They will just make trump up charges. Say, you embezzle national funds, so they should imprison you. Come on, that's a joke. That joke is not going to last anymore. Biya has cracked the last joke of the century. His time is up. So don't mind. The Constitutional Council can make him president, but the person who should make you president is the people of La République du Cameroon. Now the people are standing tall and they want Chiruma to be their president. So Chiruma is going to be their president. So mark my words, we can already see the crystal ball is telling us Chiruma is going to be the next president. May God bless you. Bye-bye.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.